All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Another episode of Jack and Jack, and let's welcome back Mr. Jack MacArthur.
Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to talking about some March Madness and a couple other wild things that have happened in the sports world.
Well, Jack, it certainly is one of the more interesting times of year for sports fans because you got so much going on. You got the NCAA tournament, you got NHL and NBA in full swing. Major League Baseball started back up yesterday, so that'll be going on for the next several months. And we also got some other things that have been pretty much in the midst of being played. So why don't we just dive right into everything we saw yesterday? You mentioned the NCAA tournament. Just might as well start with that since we're kind of in the middle. Sweet 16 and Elite 8 play this weekend. We got the BYU Alabama game yesterday. That was fascinating. Alabama with 25 3-point shots made in that game. They scored 113 points. And, we talked about it a little bit before, Jack. You were to tell BYU fans that they would score 88 points in their Sweet 16 game and still lose by 25. Pretty crazy to think.
Yeah, that's crazy work. Richie Saunders dropped 25 points on 10 for 14 from the field. Pretty good efficiency from him. But ultimately, it wasn't enough to overtake the Crimson Tide, who won by 25 points. Well, as you mentioned, 113 to 88. March Madness has been pretty crazy. My Ducks lost to Arizona recently. We got lots to talk about. But you know what? Alabama, I don't think they're going to win the next round.
Well, Alabama will be playing against the Duke Blue Devils. That's going to be an interesting matchup. Of course, Duke beating the Arizona team that you guys lost to. And Cooper Flagg, that I don't know if you saw his 3-point shot before halftime, nearly from half court, a logo 3. Cooper Flagg has just been on fire this season.
Yeah, Cooper Flagg has been cooking. He dropped 30 points, 7 assists, and had 6 boards in Duke's victory over Arizona last night. I watched that game. Caleb Love dropped 35 points. He's definitely increasing his draft capital and stock. He's been cooking. I know a lot of people said that Caleb Love, he isn't good enough to make the NBA, but I think that his 35-point performance definitely propelled himself to that next level, and he's been going off in this March Madness tourney. I think that he'll be a mid to late second-round pick, maybe even an early second-rounder. What do you think?
I think he'll be pretty high. I know he's probably one of the top observations for teams. I'm not sure who in the NBA right now would have the number 1 pick. I don't know who has the best chances in the lottery right now. It's probably a team like the Wizards, maybe even our Blazers.
Yeah, it's going to be the Wizards because they only have 15 wins this season.
Well, other games, Florida took care of business, and then we also had an interesting comeback in the final game that was played yesterday between Arkansas and Texas Tech. The Razorbacks up by as many as 16 at one point, and Texas Tech comes back. They hit a 3 right at the end of regulation, and then to force overtime, and then it was a crazy sequence at the end of the overtime session. And Jack, I just want to play this. You should be able to hear it this time. This is what makes Kevin Harlan such a great announcer. This is a Sweet 16 game, and this is his call, making it seem like it's a national championship.
Go with about 8 on the shot clock. Hawkins with it and Wagner defending. And now it's Darian Williams.
And this is who you want.
Knox will pick him up. Williams corkscrews up, off, and down! It's a 2-point lead. Final seconds. Wagner with it. Driving on Hawkins. Firing off! Texas Tech has won!
And I saw an interesting stat. John Calipari was 35-0 when leading by 6 or more at halftime in an NCAA tournament game. Now 35-1.
Yeah, that's crazy. John Calipari, legendary coach. He coached Kentucky for years. But yeah, that's a really intriguing and a wild statistic. But yeah, that was a crazy game. Texas Tech got the job done, 1-2, as you mentioned in OT. There were three different players on Texas Tech that scored 20 or more. That includes JT Toppin, Darian Williams, Christian Anderson, and then for the Arkansas Razorbacks, John L. Davis dropped 30. DJ Wagner, son of DeJuan Wagner, dropped 13. Pretty entertaining game.
Well, Jack, that sets up a match with Florida and Texas Tech in the West Regional. That one tips off first on Saturday, followed by the East Regional final between Duke and Alabama. We got a couple of games today, including Michigan State. They will be playing later today as we take a look at the schedule here of games. Got to pull it up here real quick in the NCAA tournament. We also have the other number 1 seed, Auburn. They're going to be playing Michigan. That should be an interesting game. Those are both in the South region. And then you have in the Midwest region, Kentucky against Tennessee and Purdue against Houston. And then some other tournament games today. You got the Sweet 16 getting underway on the women's side. Right now in action, with about 5 minutes left to go in the game, Duke leads North Carolina 44-32. Later on today in Birmingham, we will have Maryland against the reigning champions, the number 1 seed there, South Carolina. And then we will have LSU against NC State later tonight. That will be in Spokane. And then the final game in Spokane, the nightcap, will be Ole Miss against UCLA. So some pretty good tournament games here coming up, both on the men's and the women's side, Jack.
Oh, absolutely. Real quick, we should talk about Juju Watkins' season-ending knee injury. That's going to be really brutal for USC. I know prior to the commencement of the tournaments, before the tourney started, I think in most of my brackets had USC winning it all, but now that Juju Watkins is out, that's going to be tough for the Trojans to
and especially considering their likely matchup in that regional final, Jack, is going to be against UConn.
Yeah, UConn, they're stacked. They got, I think the way you pronounce her name is Paige Buchers.
Mm-hmm.
She's good. She's really good. I think that UConn could win it all, but it also wouldn't be surprised if a team like TCU or South Carolina also got the job done. TCU, obviously, Haley Van Lith, and they also got, I think, Sedona Prince, who played for the Ducks. South Carolina, they got Tahina Powpow and a couple other really good players. So if you had to pick one team right now, who do you got winning the women's tournament?
UConn. I had UConn from the beginning of my bracket, and I'm sticking with them. And I had an interesting little research session going on because I had to write a little piece for my article in the paper about my March Madness predictions. I did both men and women. And head coach Gino, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Arumina, or whatever UConn's head coach last name is. I know his first name's Gino.
I think his name is, I want to say his name's Gino Ariema.
Gino Ariema. In the last 30 years, UConn has they have won 11 national titles, and they've been to the Final Four 22 times, and they have not won the national championship since 2016. My bracket has UConn against South Carolina in the national championship. That's the matchup I still think is going to happen. Of course, South Carolina did win it all last year. I do not think they're going to win it back-to-back. I think UConn is going to beat South Carolina in the national championship down in Tampa in about a week or so. And interesting on the men's side, I had a little bit of a fail because I had UConn in my Final Four because just they were the reigning back-to-back champions. I had them along with Michigan State, Houston, and Duke. I did not have UConn winning. I did have Duke and Michigan State in my national championship prediction when the brackets first came out. So that is still alive, and I have Duke and Cooper Flag getting the win over Michigan State in the national championship game. But, Jack, I know you think USC is probably one of those teams that you think have a chance to win the national title. I just want to get your predictions real quick on who you think will win the NCAA tournament on the men's and the women's side.
Okay, well, for the women's, I'm going to concur with you here. I will agree. I got UConn winning it. I just think that Paige Buchers is too talented. She's had a phenomenal senior.
And Juju Watkins not being available for USC, that's going to be a huge huge difference.
Yeah, that's a big blow for USC. As I mentioned, I got UConn winning it all for the women's, but if UConn doesn't win it, it has to be South Carolina or TCU, in my opinion. And if USC didn't have that injury to Juju Watkins, I probably would take USC. But now I gotta roll with UConn. And for the men's, I gotta stick with Duke. Cooper Flag, he's been cooking. He's obviously gonna be the first overall pick. There's like a 98% chance he's gonna be the number 1 overall pick. I think he already declared for the draft. Could be mistaken, but if I was him, you got 2 choices. You can either capitalize off that NIL money, or you can go to the Washington Wizards. You can do one of those 2 things. But if I were him, why not go to the Wizards? It's not like the best team to be on right now, but you could get a huge contract. And I think the Wizards will be good in like 4 or 5 years. But if the Wizards can draft Flag, that's definitely going to help their franchise. So I got Duke beating Michigan State, and then I think I had UConn beating USC.
Who do you have UConn beating in the national championship?
I think originally it was USC, but now that Juju Watkins is out, I think they're probably going to beat.
That's not possible because UConn and USC are in the same region.
Yeah, I think that. Okay, so I think that I would have UConn beating, if I'm not mistaken, is it TCU or South Carolina?
Yeah, they would be they are on the opposite side of the bracket, so it'd be either one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was UConn over South Carolina was my original pick.
Okay, so we have pretty similar picks. Duke over Michigan State, UConn over South Carolina. Jack, let's shift gears moving forward from college basketball to the professional level. Yesterday we had a game between the Lakers and the Bulls, and it was a wild sequence at the end. Lakers up by 5. They turn it over, and all of a sudden the Bulls take a late lead. Then the Lakers jump back in front with just a few seconds left, and then we had this.
2-point game, 9.8 left. Oh, who's Giddy? The steal, right for the lead. Yeah!
Big time plays, big time plays. Kobe, wait, Sub-Zero. Bang.
Doncic took the final shot before that. Here's Reeves. Reeves straight to the cup, lays it in to take the lead. Bulls are out of timeouts. 2 seconds left. Giddy for the win.
Oh my God! I cannot believe this! Elizabeth! I'm coming, baby! Oh, Lord!
Not sure who the excited color analyst there, but that is Adam Amin, play-by-play for the Chicago Bulls television network. They come back and they beat the Lakers on a half-court shot, Jack. You mentioned it before, but that was just crazy.
Oh man, almost as crazy as that call there from Stacey King. Stacey King used to play for the Bulls back in the day. Yeah, Adam Amin and Stacey King, it's like peanut butter and jelly, a great duo. But yeah, that was a wild game, as you mentioned. I can't even keep a straight face after hearing that call again. Yeah, so Kobe White made the 3 after the.
You want it again, Jack?
2-point game, 9.8 left. Oh, who's Giddy? The steal, right for the lead. Yeah!
Big time plays, big time plays. Kobe, wait, Sub-Zero. Bang.
Doncic took the final shot before that. Here's Reeves. Reeves straight to the cup, lays it in to take the lead. Bulls are out of timeouts. 2 seconds left. Giddy for the win.
Oh my God! I cannot believe this! Elizabeth! I'm coming, baby! Oh, Lord!
Oh man, that oh Lord, it gets me every time. And after, I think Stacey King said something along the lines of, "Josh Giddey, good day, mate. Crocodile Dundee." He said something like that, because Josh Giddey's Australian, obviously. But yeah, no, pretty wild game winner. There's nothing like, if you're an NBA player or team, there's nothing like a game winner more exhilarating or exciting than just splashing a half-court shot at the buzzer. That's just crazy. Yeah, I mean, Josh Giddey, it's a pretty good trade for the Bulls. They had to let go of Caruso to the Thunder, but yeah, I mean, it's worked out for them so far. And yeah, pretty wild game, as I mentioned.
Both the Bulls and the Lakers still very much in the mix for a postseason berth. Just taking a look at the standings here, I will read off a couple of teams that have already clinched playoff berth, or they've clinched their division. The Knicks and the Celtics on the east side have already clinched a berth into the postseason, as well as the Cavs. On the west side, the Oklahoma City Thunder have already clinched the conference title. They have 61 wins and only 12 losses. So, Jack, interesting matchups. I will read them as if they would start today. The number 1 seed in the East is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They would get the winner of the 8-9 play-in matchup. That would be between Orlando and Chicago. The number 2 seed, Boston, they would get the winner of the 7-10 play-in. That would be Atlanta against Miami. And then the other series in the East would be the Knicks against the Bucks and the Pacers against the Pistons. On the west side, Oklahoma City, number 1, they would get the winner of the 8-9 play-in. That would be Minnesota and Sacramento. Number 2, Houston would get the winner of 7-10. That's Golden State and Dallas. And then the other series would be Denver against the Clippers and the Lakers against the Grizzlies. So any of those matchups kind of stand out to you right now? I know we still have a couple more weeks before everything finally gets set in stone and the NBA playoffs officially begin.
I think the Nuggets Clippers really stand out to me. That would be a really entertaining series. I think that, Jokic just had an MVP level campaign. It's not really close. I mean, Jokic should win his 4th MVP, which is crazy to say. And he's had a phenomenal season. The Clippers, they've really come out of the water with Norman Powell's performance, and Harden's been playing well. And they also just made a trade for Bogdanovich, I believe, from the Hawks. So the Clippers, they also have Ben Simmons now, which is interesting. But yeah, no, I think that the Warriors are also like a sleeper team in the West. Now that they have Jimmy Butler, he's a defensive anchor for them. He's a really talented player. Steph Curry's really found his groove recently too. But if I had to pick one team out of the West right now to take it, I think I'm taking the Nuggets, just because the way that Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Christian Brown, and Jokic have been playing collectively. But for the East, I'll probably take someone else. But for you, if you had to pick a team from the West, who do you think is going to just win the West right now?
God, I just don't know how you count out Oklahoma City. 61-12 conference champions with still 2 months to go, basically. I don't know how you get a pick against the Thunder. They made the in-season tournament finals, so, I mean, got to roll with the Thunder in the West.
That's fair. I think that if the Thunder and the Nuggets were to match up in the Western Conference Finals, it definitely would go to 6 or 7 games. But I think that right now I would have to pick the Nuggets, just the way that Jokic is playing. He's kind of unstoppable. But you know what? The Thunder, they're a good team too. When they're hot, they're hot. They got, as I mentioned previously, SGA, Caruso, Jalen Williams is pretty solid. Chet Holmgren is healthy again, so they're a pretty scary team as well.
5 teams so far in the NBA have been eliminated from postseason contention. 3 of them in the East, 2 of them in the West. Unfortunately for the Brooklyn Nets, Charlotte Hornets, and Washington Wizards, their seasons will come to an end in early April. And in the West, the New Orleans Pelicans and Utah Jazz will unfortunately not make it either. So those 5 teams eliminated from the postseason. Jack, over on the other side, we got the NHL playoff race kind of tightening up a little bit. I know that there have been some teams that have clinched already. The Winnipeg Jets, I know, have clinched a spot. The Predators were eliminated last night, I saw, so sorry to my sister who loves her Preds, but unfortunately will not see them in the postseason. The NHL rankings right now, the series that would be taking place, I just want to ask your thoughts on which matchups stand out to you. So in the East, sorry, something went wrong there. In the East, the overall number 1 seed, the Washington Capitals, they would get the Montreal Canadiens, who are right now in that second wild card spot. And then the Toronto Maple Leafs would be going up against the Ottawa Senators, so a little Canadian matchup right there. And then the other matchups, we would have Florida against Tampa Bay, Carolina against New Jersey. And then in the West, the Winnipeg Jets, the overall number 1 seed in the West, they would be taking on St. Louis, the second wildcard team in the Western Conference. the Vegas Golden Knights, the number 1 team in the Pacific Division. They would be taking on the Minnesota Wild. The other series would be the Dallas Stars against the Colorado Avalanche, and where it's looking right now for the 4th consecutive year in a row, a first-round matchup between the Edmonton Oilers and Los Angeles Kings.
I think that the Oilers and the Kings would be a good one. I'm interested to see what the Oilers can do this postseason.
The interesting thing right now, Jack, is that the Kings actually hold that number 2 spot. The last 3 times they've matched up, Edmonton's been the higher seed. Could be interesting if the tables are turned this season and LA is the higher seed.
Right. I mean, there's not a huge differential in disparity in the Pacific Division there between the Kings and the Oilers. The Golden Knights right now with a record of 43-20, Kings 40-22. When you look at the Oilers, 41-26. So definitely intriguing stuff there.
And some teams that have been eliminated from the postseason. Nobody in the East has been eliminated yet. All the eliminations have come in the Western Conference. 3 teams have been eliminated, 2 of which my sister and I are huge fans of. Her Predators and my Blackhawks both not going to the postseason, as well as the San Jose Sharks. They have also been eliminated from postseason play. So playoff races both in the NBA and the NHL tightening up, Jack. We'll see in the next couple of weeks what more changes and when the brackets and matchups are finally revealed in mid-April. Looking forward to a couple of playoffs. This is a good time of year if you're a sports fan, especially for those 2 leagues.
Yeah, real quick, we should also discuss the NFL offseason. I mean, there's been some crazy moves. I mean, you got You got DK Metcalf going to the Steelers. Okay, you got Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp going to the Seahawks. You got Russell Wilson signing with the Giants, right?
I have not really paid much attention. I'll be honest right now. I don't really care about the NFL offseason that much.
Hey, that's fair, though. But Russell Wilson going to the Giants is kind of shocking to me. It's kind of a weird signing.
And Jack, we had opening day in Major League Baseball yesterday. So again, just all these sports that are going on right now. Was there any game that you were in? I know your Dodgers were playing against the Detroit Tigers. That was an interesting game. Detroit had a lead going into the 5th inning, and then a 3-run home run hit by the Dodgers gave them the lead. Detroit got one back, I think, later on, but Dodgers end up holding them off and winning by a run. So your Dodgers starting out 3-0, considering that they won both of the games in Tokyo. So Dodgers still undefeated this season.
Yeah, that's a big one. Go Dodgers. Another one that's kind of crazy is the White Sox beating the Angels 8-1, and then additionally the Mariners beating the A's. That's not really too shocking because the A's aren't very good. But, the Mariners beating the A's, I think that, Mariners, they're my second favorite team behind the Dodgers, obviously. But the White Sox beating the Angels 8-1 is kind of shocking to me.
So everyone played game 1 of 162 yesterday. So still a lot of baseball to be played for the next 7 months. Jack, I want to shift gears a little bit further. I know that you probably haven't seen any scores from the NCAA Frozen Four tournament. And we also have the WHL playoffs getting underway later tonight. I do have a bracket for you that I would like for you to fill out as we are recording. And I know some of the Frozen Four matchups have already taken place, and I do want to talk about one of them after you fill that out because, of course, I don't want you to be spoiled with knowing who's already won the games that have been played so far, of course. The WHL gets underway tonight, so none of those games have been played, but on the Frozen Four side, there have been some games going on. So, Jack, if you can let me know who you think will win each of these matchups, we will get your brackets filled out. So I will start with the Frozen Four, the number 1 overall team in the tournament, the Boston College Eagles. They are the top seed in the Manchester region, and right now, actually, they are playing against the team from Bentley. So the number 1 team, Boston College, against Bentley. Who are you picking to win that matchup?
I got to take Boston College. They got a much better record. And then for Manchester region, I'm taking Providence. And then for Fargo region, we're actually going with Minnesota State. And
we got
then the next one, I got Massachusetts.
And you haven't been cheating, have you, by looking at the scores of the games that have already?
I haven't looked at anything, no. I'm just going off of this bracket you sent me.
All right. Well, we got Maine against Penn State in the the Allentown regional.
I think I'll take Maine. I like the sound of Maine just because, I'm from Portland. And even though there's Portland, Oregon, and there's Portland, Maine. So,
well, we were named after Portland, Maine.
Yeah, right. Portland's unique in the sense that it's, it's a thing in multiple states. It's a city in multiple states.
And we got UConn against Quinnipiac.
That's a mouthful, Quinnipiac. I think I'm going to take UConn here.
And finally, in the Toledo regional, we got Michigan State against Cornell.
I'm going to go with Michigan State here.
And Boston U against Ohio State.
Even though I don't like them, I'm going to go with Ohio State. You know what Ohio State's done to my Ducks. You know what's transpired there.
You guys did beat them in October.
We beat them in the regular season, but not in the playoffs. And ultimately, it just shows you how good the Ducks are because, Ohio State, the Buckeyes, they won the Natty. So.
All right, well, we got the Manchester final between Boston College and Providence. Who are you taking there, Jack?
I'm going to go Boston College.
And next we got the Fargo final between Minnesota State and UMass.
I'll take Minnesota State.
And Maine against UConn in the Allentown.
We're going Maine.
And Michigan State against Ohio State in the Toledo final.
Gotta go with the Spartans. Give me Michigan State.
And Frozen Four, we got Boston College against Minnesota State.
Let's go Boston College.
And we got Maine against Michigan State.
Let's go Michigan State.
And Michigan State and Boston College for the national championship.
I'm going to have to roll with Boston College here.
And do you have a final score as a tiebreak, the final score of that championship game?
Let's go Michigan. My bad. Let's go Boston College with a 3-1 victory.
All right. Well, Jack, I do have some good news and some bad news. You did pick Massachusetts to beat Minnesota in the Fargo regional. I was watching that game last night, and it went into overtime. And this is what I wanted to bring to you. I know you seem like you look like you're a little stressed right now. But here is how that one ended.
Chesley for the Gophers. And he gets tripped up at center ice. No call. And the Minnesota faithful throwing their hands up into the air. Don's Leschmilis moving in. On a backhand, Leschmilis score! And UMass has stunned Minnesota in overtime.
That was Roxy Bernstein on the call for ESPN2. UMass defeating Minnesota yesterday. They win by a final of 5-4. Minnesota had a 3-1 lead in the third period. 3 unanswered goals from Massachusetts would give them a 4-3 lead, and then Minnesota tied it up with just a few minutes to go in regulation, sending it to sudden victory overtime. And I say that because in college hockey, it's not called sudden death overtime, it's sudden victory overtime. Massachusetts defeats Minnesota and will take on Western Michigan in the Fargo regional final. That one will get underway at 3:30 on Saturday. So, Jack, I can tell you right now, a lot of your picks are right. Some of them not right. I think the biggest one that busted a lot of people's brackets, including mine, was the fact that Cornell upset Michigan State in the first round in the Toledo regional. They score with about 8 seconds left in the third period in a tie game to break the tie and take the win. But other than that, Jack, your other matchups are, mostly correct. Of course, Boston College and Bentley are playing right now. Providence and Denver are playing a little bit later. And then Maine, Penn State, UConn, Quinnipiac. We don't know what the results are yet because those have yet to be played today as well. You had in the Ohio State defeating Boston U. Boston U actually won that game. They scored 8 goals to beat Ohio State 8-3. So, it's not all perfect. We don't all have perfect brackets, Jack, but I appreciate you still filling one out before knowing the results of the games that have been played so far.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, Jack, switching gears, we got the WHL playoffs getting underway tonight. So, of course, this one is absolutely fair because we don't know who's won yet because the first game doesn't the puck drop of the first game is now for another 4 hours. So, would you like to start on the east or the west side of the WHL bracket?
Let's go west.
All right. On the west side, the number 1 team is the Everett Silvertips. They are taking on the number 8 Seattle Thunderbirds.
We're going with the Silvertips.
We got the number 2 team, Victoria Royals. They are going up against number 7, the Tri-City Americans.
Oh, give me the Royals.
Next up, we got the number 3 seed Spokane Chiefs and the number 6 seed Vancouver Giants.
We'll go with the Chiefs. Even though the last Chiefs that I rooted for lost in the Super Bowl.
Well, they're not the good Chiefs. And finally, the last matchup in the West, the number 4 Prince George Cougars going up against number 5 our Portland Winterhawks.
I mean, you know me. I'm from Portland. Give me the Winterhawks.
All right, now things get a little bit dicey because we got Portland going up against the number 1 team in the West who beat them in most of the matchups in the regular season. We got Portland against Everett in the second round.
Give me the Winterhawks with an upset.
All right, we got the Spokane Chiefs, 3 seed, and the Victoria Royals, the 2 seed.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
And we got the Winterhawks against the Chiefs. Nice little matchup there. If that is the case, I might have to go up to Spokane and catch a game if they are playing indeed the Winterhawks because I'll probably still be here by the time the West Final is getting underway. So who do you have between the Hawks and the Chiefs, Jack?
Give me the Hawks, Matt.
Wow, he's going with the Hawks, folks. The number 5 out of the West to win the West. All right, on the East side, where you probably don't have much knowledge to any of the teams, I will just tell you right now that number 1, the Medicine Hat Tigers, are going up against the number 8 seed Swift Current Broncos.
2 really unique team names: the Medicine Hat Tigers and the Swift Current Broncos. Give me the Hat Tigers.
Medicine Hat. We got the number 2 seed Prince Albert Raiders, and they're taking on the number 7 seed Edmonton Oil Kings.
Give me par. Prince Albert Raiders. Like when you're golfing and you don't want to get a bogey, give me par.
Pars are always nice. Birdies are a little bit better. Next up, we got the number 3 seed Calgary Hitmen against number 6, the Saskatoon Blades, who were the number 1 seed in the East last season. They drop all the way to number 6 this year, and they're taking on the number 3 Calgary.
I'm going to go with Calgary.
And finally, we got the Lethbridge Hurricanes against the Brandon Wheat Kings to round out the matchups on the East side.
I'm going to rock with the Hurricanes this time.
All right, we got the number 1 seed Medicine Hat Tigers against the number 4 seed Lethbridge Hurricanes.
Give me the Tigers.
And we got the Calgary Hitmen 3 seed against the number 2 Prince Albert Raiders.
I'm going to go with the Hitmen here.
He doesn't want that par.
No, not this time.
And Medicine Hat against Calgary for the East.
Let's go with the Tigers.
And the WHL Finals, Jack, you got the Medicine Hat Tigers against the Portland Winterhawks. Your 2025 Western Hockey League champion is...
It will be the Winterhawks.
And will that be in 4, 5, 6, or 7 games?
That's going to be in 6 games. In Game 6, the Winterhawks are going to win 3-2.
Is that going to be a 3-2 win in regulation, or are they going to score the game winner in OT?
It's going to be in regulation.
All right. Well, best of luck to you, Jack. Both your brackets look pretty decent. Of course, not as good as mine, but and nobody can be a perfect hockey expert like me.
Yeah, right. No one's as good at predicting hockey matches as you, right?
All right, Jack, there are a couple other things I want to get to before we kind of start to wrap things up here. I know we talked about the NCAA tournament going on right now on the women's side. It'll tip off a little later. On the men's side, of course, we have NHL and NBA in full swing. We had Major League Baseball opening day. We have the Frozen Four going on right now. But there's something that I want to kind of bring up here. It's on a little bit, if I haven't lost my train of thought, but I just want to ask you about if you've been catching up on any of the golf tournaments. I know we got the Masters coming up here in a couple of weeks. That I believe is the weekend after the Final Four. But just a lot of golf tournaments, and I say that because it's just been pretty nice here in Moscow, and it's making me want to get back out on the golf course. So it's making me think of all these golf tournaments. So how much like of the PGA or even the LIV or any of those leagues, or even like have you actually, what I want to talk about with you is, have you watched any of that indoor golf league?
No, I didn't even know that there was an indoor golf league. I'm going to lie. It just shows you how cultured I am.
The TGL finals were this week. I'm not sure who won. I guess I could look that up real quick and see. I think it was that Atlanta team who was the favorite. Let's see. TGL finals. Who won the TGL finals? It was the Atlanta Drive. Billy Horschel hit the winning putt in the SoFi Cup.
Nice.
So that's been going on in Los Angeles. But just, you got a lot of sports in full swing, Jack.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on here. But I've been following golf a ton, but I need to become more cultured.
Quick score update as we are recording this episode right now. It has gone final in Birmingham. The Duke Blue Devils have defeated North Carolina 47-38. So they will be taking on the winner of Maryland and South Carolina. That game will tip off in about 11 minutes. And then, of course, later tonight we have LSU against NC State and Ole Miss against UCLA. On the men's side, we got Michigan State. We take a look here. They are taking on Ole Miss. That is followed by Tennessee and Kentucky. Michigan, Auburn, Purdue, Houston. Any upsets there that you think might happen tonight, Jack?
Let me go back to it real quick.
I'm going to take 2 upsets here. I think Kentucky is going to beat Tennessee, and I had this in my bracket before, but I think Michigan upsets Auburn.
Well, first of all, for the women's side, I got South Carolina beating Maryland. I got NC State beating LSU. I got UCLA beating Ole Miss. Tomorrow, TCU's got to beat Notre Dame. I think Texas is going to defeat Tennessee. I think UConn's going to beat Oklahoma tomorrow afternoon. And I think USC, despite the loss of Juju Watkins, I think they're still going to defeat Kansas State. And for the men's, let's see. 1 second. For the men's, I think Houston's got it against Purdue for sure. I think Auburn's definitely got it against Michigan. Michigan State, they should defeat Ole Miss. I'll take the Spartans there, and I think that Kentucky's going to upset Tennessee.
Jack, I know we kind of mentioned this, and we kind of gave it some thought a little bit earlier. I just want to kind of revisit that a little bit, and who we think, considering that we will know after this weekend the Final Four teams in both San Antonio on the men's side and Tampa Bay on the women's side. I just want to get your predictions and also mine, and who is going to come out on those regions and make it.
Your audio kind of glitched out for a second. You just said who came on top of those of each region.
Yeah, who we think.
You cut out again. All I heard is you saying who you think, and then it just went blank.
I don't know. We might be.
Guys, it's not looking good. It's looking pretty grim here. You cut out again. We might have to cut this episode short. But hey, try it again.
Am I coming through?
Now you're coming through. Talk again.
Okay, Jack, who do you think?
Third time's a charm.
The what?
I said third time's a charm. Go ahead.
Sorry, we're not professional here, folks. We run a tight we do run a tight ship, but sometimes things always how we want to.
Right. Okay. So you want me to just let you know
who's going to make the okay? I'm gonna say this if I cut out.
Yeah, you cut out again. So you just want me to say who makes the final?
Who makes Jack?
I heard you say who makes. Okay, who makes the final? Just give me a
who makes the final. Okay, real quick. I don't want it to cut it out again. Who makes it to San Antonio? Who makes it to Tampa?
Cool. For the women's side, we're going. For the women's side, we are definitely going. UConn and I believe South Carolina. And I got UConn winning it all.
So you have UConn and South Carolina. Who are the other two teams?
For the men's?
No, for the women. Who are your final four teams on the women's side?
Oh, my final four teams for the women's side. I'm going to go with UConn, South Carolina, USC, and TCU.
You can't have UConn and USC. They're in the same region.
Okay, we're going with UConn and let me look at the women's bracket again.
You mean UCLA?
Nah, definitely not UCLA. Let's check this out real quick.
Okay, while you do that, I'll give you mine. I'm just going to keep it. I have my article that I wrote with my final four predictions for both the men and the women. I'm keeping it the same. So on the women's side, out of Spokane 1, I got UCLA. Birmingham 2, I got South Carolina. Birmingham 3, I picked Texas. And Spokane 4, I picked UConn.
Okay, I got South Carolina, UCLA, and then I got TCU and UConn.
Okay. All right. On the men's side, who's going to San Antonio?
For the men's side, we are definitely going
Duke.
We're going Duke.
Duke's a no-brainer.
Duke. Okay, Duke in Florida for sure. And then we're going Houston. And we're going to roll with Michigan State here.
I am going pretty much the same. I got Duke, Houston, Florida, and Michigan State 2. Now, with that said, you still think that your championship in the women's side is going to be UConn against South Carolina, and on the men's side, it's going to be Duke against Michigan State, right?
Yeah, my original pick for the men's was Duke against Michigan State.
And that's who I have too in both. I had UConn against South Carolina and Duke against Michigan State. You have Duke winning and UConn winning, and so do I. I have UConn and Duke winning in those as well. So we'll see. After this weekend, Jack, we'll know officially who makes the Final Four. After Monday night, we'll know on the women's side as well. So by Tuesday morning, we'll know who are the Final Four teams in both Tampa and San Antonio. An interesting travel nugget here, Jack, is that we have some women's tournament games on Monday, and some of which are going to be in Spokane. Others are in Birmingham. I know for the teams playing in Birmingham, it's not too far, but for the teams playing in Spokane, it can be pretty far. It's pretty much across the country. From Monday to when the Final Four begins on Friday, because the women's Final Four is Friday, Sunday. The men's Final Four is Saturday, Monday. So those teams playing in Spokane on Monday only get 3 days off before they play again in the Final Four on Friday, and they go from Spokane to Tampa Bay, which is nearly pretty much all the way across the country. Might see some tired teams, maybe some jet lag, but just a little interesting travel nugget there, Jack.
Yeah, definitely some jet lag. It's gonna happen, but it's part of sports. You got to just travel a lot, and it's definitely like not an easy lifestyle being a Division I athlete. I mean, not that I ever played D1 or anything, but I'm assuming.
But I mean, when you think about it, even during the college basketball seasons, you might have some games that are on back-to-back nights, or you play every other night in different parts of the country. I mean, the travel during it's not too much different from the travel the teams do during the regular season.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
All right. Well, I think we pretty much covered all we needed to get to, or I guess not needed, but all we desired to get to today. Jack, is there anything that you want to bring up before we kind of begin to say goodbye?
Yeah, real quick, let's just talk about well, I was going to say talk about the NFL offseason, but I know you're not too enthused with that idea.
Well, what do you...
Real quick, let's talk about the Blazers, man. The Blazers,
we could give our way too we could give our way too early predictions for next year's Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
Detroit Lions, baby. Let's go Detroit.
You got Detroit winning it against who?
Hey, you know what? Next year's I'm sticking by the Super Bowl logo conspiracy. The Super Bowl 60 logo is all blue, so give me the Detroit Lions against the Buffalo Bills.
That's crazy. I'm gonna go with the Bills against the Eagles, and I'm gonna go with the Eagles repeating.
You're gonna go with the back-to-back Eagles Super Bowl?
We're going with Eagles defeating the Bills.
That would be their third Super Bowl appearance in 4 seasons, Jack, because you got to remember they made Super Bowl 57.
That's true. Yeah, I think that Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, they're going back-to-back.
Wow. That is interesting. Do you think the Blazers make the playoffs? Because they've not been eliminated yet. They haven't been eliminated from postseason contention yet, but they're rather close. Do you think they make it into the play-in?
Well, according to their schedule, they're playing the Knicks in 2 days.
That's a loss.
They're playing the Hawks on April 1st.
Loss.
They're playing the Raptors on April 3rd.
Loss.
They have to face the Bulls.
Loss.
Back on the 4th. And they're playing the Spurs at home.
I'll give them a win there.
Because Wemby's out. And then they're playing the Jazz on the road. And then they come back for the
I'll give them a win against the Jazz.
Then their homestand, they're playing the Warriors at home on April 11th. And the
Loss.
Lakers with
Loss.
Luka and LeBron on April 13th.
Are you going to try to go to that Lakers game?
If I'm rich enough, if that paycheck hits, I think the cheapest tickets are like $100, but I'll probably end up going to the game.
So I think
real quick.
So I think in that stretch, you listed what, like 10 games? Excuse me.
I'll just give you the first 5.
In those next 10, I bet you in those next 10 games they go 2-8.
No way. I think the over/unders has to be like 2.5 there, or 3.5. I think they'll go over 3.5 wins, but they're not going to win out.
No.
So
no, they will not get 3 wins.
Oh Oh yeah. I'll bet you a slice of pizza the Blazers get at least 3 wins out of these next.
Okay, what are we going to? What game are we going to?
So I am betting you a slice of pizza the Blazers are winning at least 3 out of their next 8 games.
So,
Deal?
hold on. I got to get the So for the Blazers, hold on, I got to find the Blazers.
Okay, the Blazers are losing to the Knicks. They're beating the Hawks. They're beating the Raptors. They're probably losing to the Bulls. They're beating the Spurs, beating the Jazz, losing to the Warriors, and losing to the Lakers. That's my prediction.
So hold on. So we're going to the end of. Okay, so they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so they have 8 games left.
And the over-under is 2.5. I'm taking the over. Give me Blazers win 4 out of their next 8. Like I said, they lose to the Knicks. They beat the Hawks. Okay, lose to the Knicks, beat the Hawks. Okay, they beat the Raptors. They lose to the Bulls. They beat the Spurs, beat the Jazz, lose to the Warriors, lose to the Lakers. So they're going to win 4 and lose 4.
I think they're going to lose. I think they're going to win 2 and lose 6. I think they're going to win against. They're going to win against the Spurs and the Jazz, and they're going to lose every other game.
No way they lose to the Hawks and the Raptors.
Yeah, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose to the Hawks and the Raptors.
Okay, how about this? I'll bet you a slice of pizza the Blazers win at least 3 of their next 8.
3 of their next 8.
Yep, I'll bet you a slice of pizza they win at least 3.
What? How about? Well, we set the over under at 3. So if it's 3, it's a push. If it's less than 3, I win. If it's more than 3, you win.
I think that it just depends on these favorites here. The Blazers are definitely underdogs against the Knicks. They're probably favored against the Hawks. They're probably favored against the Raptors.
Okay, you know what? We'll set it at 2.5. 2.5.
Okay, cool.
You take the over.
Push.
You take the over. I take the under.
Yeah, no push. I take the over 2.5. You take under 2.5.
Yeah.
Got a deal.
So when is that next game? Is that today or no? It's
Today's my mom's birthday. Shout out to my mom.
it's on Sunday.
The Knicks. Yeah, it's in 2 days on Sunday.
Blazers have not won since March 21st when they beat the Nuggets. So they haven't won in a week. And they don't play for another 2 days.
They're due for a win.
So I'm going to tell you right now, they lose to the Knicks. I think we both agreed on that. They lose to the Knicks.
Oh, definitely. It's on the road also. You
have them beating the Hawks and the Raptors.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think they lose to both those teams. You have I think so. We both have them losing to the Bulls.
Right.
We both have them winning against the Spurs and winning against the Jazz.
The only difference is I have the Blazers beating the Hawks and the Raptors, and you have the Blazers dropping those 2.
Yeah, because we both have them losing to the Warriors and the Lakers.
Well, we know that they're losing to the Warriors, but they could beat the Lakers.
Unless somehow like every starter on the Warriors like breaks their knee or something. Even then, I don't know if the Blazers would win.
If Jimmy Butler's out, maybe the Blazers have a chance, or if Curry's out.
If Steph Curry gets abducted by aliens.
Yeah, if Steph Curry gets, he's just on a vacation in Italy, then maybe the Blazers will win.
All right, well, is the official bet, what kind of pizza are we talking?
Let's go. 2 slices. Should we go 2 slices or just a slice and a soda?
Let's go 2 slices.
Okay, 2 slices of straight from New York pizza on Belmont.
Okay. And it's the choice of the winner. So like if you want just plain cheese, it'll be plain cheese. If you want sausage and pepperoni, it'll be sausage and pepperoni. Okay. You know what I like, Jack. I like the Hawaiian pizza.
Well, too bad that the Blazers are winning at least 3 of their next 8.
Nope, they are only going to win 2. And you know what? They might not even beat the Spurs and the Jazz.
Well, you know what? We're going to find out. All
we'll
right,
see.
I'm boring Jackson here. Just yawning. So we're gonna have
I don't know. I've been super tired lately. But Jack, we once again want to thank you for joining the show. It was great to catch up with you, and we'll do it again as far down the road, and we might know who already wins the national championship, but we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Destiny. Just to let you guys know, I'm not sponsored by Adidas or anything, but I went to the Adidas employee store yesterday. Thank you for having me on, Jackson. I'll see you guys next time.
Wow, this episode was exactly 1 hour. So thanks for tuning in, folks.